Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. Last week, Clearview, the current publisher of Ebony and Jet magazine, fired the remainder of its staff, and that has many speculating that Ebony and Jet will go out of print for good this time. Now, Ebony and Jet were sold to Clearview a few years ago when its original publisher, Johnson Publications, ran into financial trouble. And this sale was meant to try to preserve the magazines of Ebony and Jet, which were at one time in the 20th century considered an institution as related to black media, because John H. Johnson's Ebony magazine back in the 20th century was the first black-owned publication and the only place where black people could see images of themselves, in addition to hearing stories about the black experience and black culture. So Johnson Publications' Ebony was an institution. However, in recent years, Johnson Publication, after the passing of John H. Johnson, ran into serious financial trouble under the leadership of his daughter. And because his daughter could not lead the magazine into the 21st century, she decided to sell the magazine to white-owned Clearview. Unfortunately, it looks like Clearview has been having a bit of problems as related to setting a vision and a direction for Ebony magazine, because when you have a new publisher and they don't pay writers, it shows that the magazine is continuing to be in serious financial trouble, because in order for a magazine to stay in print, it has to go out here and have content. And the only way to get content from freelancers is for a publication to have enough cash flow to be able to continue to pay writers like myself for the articles we produce. And with Ebony not being able to pay writers since 2017, the magazine has struggled because many of the writers had decided to form a union, and there was a lot of controversy about writers not being paid for articles that they had contributed to Ebony magazine. And that's what led to a lot of people pressing Ebony regarding Ebony's owners regarding the writers not being paid. So when I look at this whole situation, it shows me that it didn't matter which owner was in charge of Ebony magazine. There was a big problem with the leadership of Ebony magazine, whether it be its former publisher, Johnson Publications, or its new publisher, Clearview. Neither one really had a vision for turning the Ebony magazine and Jet magazine around, and because they had no vision for turning around Ebony and Jet magazine, this is why the magazine was continuing to remain in dire straits. Because when a magazine, again, cannot pay its authors and does not pay its writers for 2 years, then that doesn't give people confidence about going out here to work on a magazine like Ebony or Jet, nor does it give a reader confidence to go out here and want to anticipate the next issue. So the book magazine's momentum was cut because of as I see it, really failed leadership, and the leadership is going to lead to the end of this institution. Now, Ebony magazine, again, has been in trouble before its financial issues, and the big problem with Ebony was that Ebony and Jet, even under John H. Johnson's leadership, just was not able to adapt with the times. And I saw this way back as far as 1989 when I was reading Ebony magazine in high school, and I noticed that much of the magazine had this third grade level writing, and it really had this shallow articles about these celebrities and nothing of heavy substance. Meanwhile, a person could pick up a GQ, a Cosmopolitan, or even other competing black magazines that were starting out, like Black Enterprise and Emerge, and those magazines gave you a richer vocabulary, they gave you more complex articles, they tackled heavier issues, and because it tackled heavier and more substantive content, this is what made those magazines far more appealing than Ebony, which had great pictures of celebrities but didn't have any content to appeal to the average, common, everyday black person. Now, this runs counter to what John H. Johnson's original mission for Ebony was, which was to create a magazine that presented you positive images of black people and images of black people that you could look up to. And instead of showing us those everyday brothers and sisters, Ebony was focused highly on celebrities. And again, there were all these magazines that already focused on black celebrities, and black people usually went to these white-owned magazines to talk about celebrities, and they had no interest in going to Ebony. So Ebony lost what it made it distinct, and worse, they didn't know how to adapt their content to create a content that would be distinct to them in presenting a positive image of brothers and sisters out here, or showing us up-and-coming brothers and sisters out here who weren't Hollywood celebrities, but working-class everyday people, or writing articles about how black people could empower themselves, or talking about communities of people in the black community, like the black comic fans, black sci-fi fans, black manga fans, and even black goth people in the black goth subculture. They didn't want to talk about those articles, and these were things that would have sold Ebony as I saw it. But instead of going to do articles to appeal to those audiences, what your Ebony decided to do was get involved with the gender war. And this was the worst mistake that Ebony's publisher at the time, John H. Johnson's daughter, made, was getting involved with the gender war, and then getting involved with the social justice narratives as related to the identity politics, and writing these gender war and identity politics and black feminist narratives. This wound up splitting the audience, because the black men who would go out here and buy Ebony magazine, they were alienated when they started seeing these misandristic, man-bashing articles talking about no good black men and talking about black feminism. This was the kind of content that literally cut Ebony's audience off and cut away 50% of its audience, and led to a serious decline in sales, because most black men who would have bought Ebony to read about successful brothers, they didn't see any successful brothers. All they saw was a bunch of articles by a group of man-hating feminists, and they saw articles promoting the LGBT community, and they saw articles about simp celebrities like Steve Harvey. And this made men walk away from Ebony, and it also made women who supported men walk away from Ebony, because a lot of black women are not with the whole gender war, man-bashing, and social justice narratives. So instead of giving us a magazine that presented an objective view of black people and an objective and balanced perspective regarding black people and the black experience, and giving us a diverse picture of the black experience, we didn't get that from John H. Johnson's daughter's vision of Ebony, nor did we get it from Clearview's distorted vision of Ebony. And that's what's really sad about this whole situation is that because Ebony did not have a vision to create a mission for the magazine, this is why this storied, over 70-year-old publication is going to go out of print, I believe. And this is why I believe we've seen our last Ebony, and we're going to see the end of the Ebony and Jet magazine, because there is no publisher like myself out there who would have a vision for the magazine, or to set a mission for the magazine in the 21st century. And I've said in numerous videos that these are the two things that Ebony needs to revive its audience and reconnect with its audience. Is it needs a publisher who can set a mission for the magazine in the 21st century. It needs somebody who can set a vision for the magazine for the next 5 to 10 years, and someone who would be focused on creating content that would be appealing to black audiences out here, and create a magazine that people could not only pick up in paper format to collect as a paper magazine, but also to give them a digital format that would give them incentive to go out here and read the magazine. And I believe that a really solid Ebony magazine under a publisher's vision like my own would be a magazine that would be about stories as related to the everyday working class brother and sister out here, and a magazine that would be about building up men, building up women, talking about positive brothers and sisters in the community, not celebrities, but working class everyday brothers and sisters out here, talking about skilled trades, talking about, again, different cultures in the black community, giving us a rich and multidimensional and multi-diverse picture of the black experience, and taking us to those places in the black community that don't get talked about all the time. Again, like the comic fans, the manga fans, the sci-fi, and the goth subculture, in addition to taking us to the world of the everyday working class brother, like the black transit workers, or the black bus drivers, or just plain old brothers and sisters out there, and talking about different issues in the black community, talking about the role of the black father, talking about black manhood. These are the things that people want to go out here and buy a magazine to read about, but they're not getting in Ebony today because it's focused on man bashing, it's focused on feminism, and it's not focused on showing us a rich picture of black men and black women working together to elevate the community. And they're not creating that type of content, and that's why the magazine isn't selling, because people want to see that type of content in a magazine. They want to see, again, they want to see different parts of the black culture, different parts of the black experience. They want to see black manhood elevated. They want to see black womanhood elevated. They want to see a rich picture of the black experience, and they want to see a black world that is filled with brothers and sisters who aren't celebrities, and they want to see the experiences and culture of black people. That's what people want in an Ebony magazine. A rich picture that shows us a spectrum of blackness, and because we didn't get that picture of spectrum of the blackness, this is why the Ebony and Jet are going dark and going out of print. If you'd like to pick up some of my SJS Direct publications, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the Smith-Storella trilogy, which present positive stories about black characters and the black experience, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com to pick up my publications in paperback or Kindle formats. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.